Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Furkan, product designer working in London. For this video we're going to talk through a really important topic around how do I scope a project as a designer that I'm going to be working on and how to get cross-functional alignment. We're going to talk through a planning document that I've made that's going to make it a lot easier for you to scope out a project and understand what things you should be thinking about, what things you should be considering, and making it easier to basically get all the team aligned on one plan. It's a really important part of being a designer. Is not just being on the visual design in Figma, it's also about thinking about scoping projects and thinking of the longer term impact and how the project's going to play out. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe for future design related videos, and let's get started. So I've created this template. Head in the link in the description below and purchase it for $14.99, and it's so important to have on a project a design scope and plan so everyone has a clear vision of what's going on. You might be in a team where there's no product manager, and you might have a product manager, but it's good to work cross-functionally and create this scope so then everyone understands what's going on, and it helps elevate your thinking. I've handcrafted these questions. It's like 6 pages long of things that you should be thinking about when it comes to a project that applies universally across the board that I've used throughout my time at Big Tech, and hopefully it can help you out as well. So let's head into the Google Docs in the web browser to see what is in store and what things we should be looking at. So heading straight into the web browser, we can see this Google Docs which I've compiled together, which gives us a great understanding of how do I scope a project, especially if you're looking to get more senior. This is something that you're expected to understand and do, and these questions that I've crafted can make it so much easier for you to do, and it will naturally become a second habit. You just have to go into the link in the description below to go to my shop, and you'll be able to purchase this. And the really important thing about scoping projects is that it gives you that alignment, and writing down is a really key skill to have as a designer. Learning how to document your thoughts and understanding what could be coming up. This is such an important skill. It's not just about the craft inside Figma or Sketch. So when we go straight into the project here, we've got a bit of a what is this actual file all about, and on the left here we've got all the headings, and one of the most important things to have in your file is a TLDR. The reason being is that if someone only has 30 seconds to skim through, they want to pick up what is this actual project plan all about, what is it actually really trying to achieve here. And then you want to talk about the context of when it comes to problems, what is the actual user and people problem, as well as the business problem that you're trying to solve. And then any key timelines, it's good to try and pencil in some sort of dates to get some alignment of when you're trying to get some deliverables sorted by. Again, timelines can change, they should be flexible. And some points of contacts of who's going to be working on this project with you and any other stakeholders that needs to be informed. And then here it's down to yourself as a designer to think about, alright, what do I think when designing this the scope should be, when I'm thinking about, alright, what's the first milestone that we should achieve, then some stretch goals and things we won't take on. This is really important because there's going to be some cool ideas or things that, some important features that you might not be able to work on maybe this half, but you want to note them down for the future as well. And also state why you're not going to take them on. And then here's just some personas of audiences of who's potentially going to be using this, what are the objectives and goals, and some key use cases you're going to be solving for. So next up we have evidence and research of why is this project taking place when you're scoping it out. What insights do you have? Any quantitative insights from data perspective? Have you worked with your data science that has actually come up with some insights of maybe they've found out, for example, there's low search or discoverability inside your project and there's some data to support this. You've worked with your user researcher, or you might have done the user research yourself and you found out there's some problems here, and this is why the project has to take place. So it's important to document the evidence because not everyone might know or have the same knowledge as yourself, so it's important to have this central place for people to refer to. Also, is there any inspiration for the team for any other projects that other teams have worked on, whether that is any competitors or internally, and what do we already know as well. So document some insights that we already know about when it comes to this project. And then when we scroll down, some risks and challenges when it comes to the project. You can't assume that this project is going to be perfect. There's always going to be some sort of opportunity cost. So what are the potential risks of this project is, for example, engagement on another feature might go down. Could there be any risks in terms of the users, in terms of like mental health aspects, or in terms of productivity, or the time it takes in terms of the user journey? And are there any key dependencies when it comes to this project? For example, does it rely on some sort of technical development or package that might not be released yet, or does it rely on another team that needs to work on some sort of feature as well, or does it rely on something that is more futuristic in terms of hardware? Or there could be so many things that it could be dependent on your project. For example, is it dependent on some research that still needs to take place? What could failure look like? So in terms of, as a designer, you want to think through like, how could we've got this perfect flow of how people will use our project and product, but then what happens if they don't use it the way we intended? How could we fail? And what could failure look like in the longer term as well? For example, we could have this aim of a project, but people might not actually do what we intended to do. What would happen in the longer term as well if we don't achieve this goal? And in terms of impacts, I suppose, in terms of a risk, is that every project has some sort of opportunity cost. So we're trying to get this short-term gain of reaching a certain metric or target, but what could that impact have on the longer term in terms of a user or the actual business or product, in terms of other features, or will other metrics go down in the longer term? And this is where you can have counter metrics to monitor the risks. Are less people now scrolling and discovering content, or are more people now spending less time on your app, for example, because of this feature that you're potentially going to release? So these are some really cool questions to think about as well. So when scoping a project, it's always important to think about the impact. So we talked about risks and challenges, but then what about the side effects and other features of products, the network effects? So this project could affect one product, but then it could have multiple effects on other things as well. And how will we measure success? It's really important to work cross-functionally. If you have a data science, to actually understand the impact that you could potentially make in terms of what quantitative figures are we going to be looking at. There's going to be qualitative things we can measure, but upfront it's going to be beneficial for yourself to understand and benchmark and have those guardrails of how we're going to actually measure the success. And it can help you as well when it comes to performance reviews and stuff, when it's so much easier to have these metrics to understand how you've actually impacted a project as well. So moving down is, are there any open questions that you can think of top of mind? Just document them down and tag people as well. And lastly is the appendix. So some design files, attach these here. Non-goals, write down things you're not trying to achieve. Principles, are there any design principles inside your team that you need to be following? Document them down. And some competitive landscape of other competitors to maybe reference and look at. And are there maybe some dashboards that your team are looking at in terms of metrics that will be useful for other people to see? So I've spent 7 pages of really interesting questions. I feel like that will help you out when it comes to scoping a project. Feel free to purchase this and let us know and give us feedback of how you see this model going forward as well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing at least one person purchase this. It will be so awesome to see someone use this, and hopefully it will help you change the way you think about how to scope a project as well. So there you have it. That is the template that you can purchase. I'll put in a link in the description below, and I'm also going to include an example template of projects that I've scoped to help you out as well, and it'll help change the way that you think about things, and it'll make scoping so much easier. The more senior you get, the more it's expected and for you to be doing things like this, and I'm sure it'll become a lot easier for yourself. So be sure to give myself some feedback of what you think about the template, and I hope at least one person purchases this. It'll be be so awesome, and I'm glad that you made it to the end of the video. So be sure to comment down below what you think of this template. Do you scope projects in your team day to day? Would you find this useful? Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for future design related videos, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.